Hey, you guys, it is Sunday, the 8th of May, and you're tuning in now live to Alex and Andy live, of course, here in Shanghai, China, still under a citywide lockdown. For us in Puxi, it is day number 38. Other people have gone on for much longer. Beautiful weather today. We're currently 21 degrees Celsius and 69 degrees Fahrenheit. Great day to be outside. Obviously, we're not quickly talk about the numbers very quickly. We had 11 community cases. Which is coming down. We had 215 new symptomatic cases and 3,760 new asymptomatic cases. But before we get too much into that, Alex, how is it going?
Not bad at all. Just another day, another sort of tally mark on the wall for days inside. We are getting a little bit more sort of creative with our culinary exploits right now, just because. We don't have a lot. Yeah, I sent you a picture of what we made at my house earlier today. This is Bushroe, which is a dish that the origin comes from Taiwan, but it's also popular here on the mainland as well. And it's good. And my fiance is a good cook, and so we're sort of learning about how. I'm not a good cook, but I'm trying to get there. We're sort of spending some of our time, or at least meal time, sort of learning how to make new things that we've never made before, and kind of sort of expanding. Of course, we've got to be a little bit creative because we don't have every single necessary ingredient for everything. But so I'm kind of spending some time trying to learn how to make some new foods. And this is our adventure today. So I think it turned out pretty well.
Looks pretty good to me. I don't think you're missing anything. If I was going to maybe a Taiwanese restaurant or wherever, this is kind of what I'd expect to see. You got the bok choy, egg, rice. Looks awesome to me. But yeah, definitely a perfect time to learn how to cook. Hey, but Alex, so we've already learned you don't like singing, and now you just said you can't cook. So can your fiance sing?
Well, she is she is the same as me, and then she's not particularly talented, but that don't let that stop her. She loves to do it anyway, and it's fine.
Well, KTV, come on, we all got to go there. I think, honestly, if you can sing, I don't think KTV is the place for you. I really feel like, when you go to KTV, if people sing really well, I kind of feel like it ruins it.
That's true. I think KTV is the only place where I will actually attempt to sing, because everyone, that's the point of going to KTV. You're only in front of your friends. I don't know if how many people, obviously in the West, or I don't know how it is in New Zealand. In the US, we have karaoke, but it's usually in a pub or a bar or some sort of similar place to that.
Yes.
But one person who gets up on stage in front of dozens and dozens of complete strangers and sings, which is a whole lot more awkward than KTV, where it's just you and a group of friends that you've invited, and so it doesn't take nearly the sort of intestinal fortitude to do it at a KTV. So I don't really mind singing at KTV, but I know I have a rough idea of how many people watch the stream, and it's a lot more people than would be in the KTV room with me. So I don't know how I feel about doing it on stream.
That's totally true. Definitely somewhere that you head along to with friends. But although sometimes we do have to go to KTV, in more official settings in some cities, that can be awkward as well, I reckon. But in New Zealand, we have KTV bars. So like, we would, on a Saturday or Friday night, we would have drinks at a friend's place, head down to the, more kind of dancey kind of bars. And then at about 3 or 4 a.m., we'd head across to the KTV bar when everyone was adequately intoxicated and do singing in front of. It's not like KTV in China. It's like a whole bar, and people put in their requests, and then you stand on the stage and sing. So in that situation, you kind of need to be at least a decent singer, I reckon.
Right, yes. The point of those places is if you're a good singer, then you get up on stage. If you're awful, in these places, people don't want you on the stage. But KTV, since it's just friends, is no one cares if you're awful. It's not the point. Everyone has
exactly.
To go. So I actually much prefer KTV as somebody who isn't a talented singer.
It's a lot of fun, that's for sure. Hey, I just want to now switch along to something a bit more serious, because we got a comment here from Kim, who asked, why is the precautionary area forever staying as a precautionary area without signs of opening? So that is the green area in our map. I'll bring in that video to make it a bit easier, but this is a question we're getting a lot of lately, because with the 3 levels, you've got the red, the orange, and the green. Now, green is meant to mean that you can leave your xiaoqu, but of course, here's that image. Of course, that's not always the case. In fact, that is left up to the 居委会 or the 街道 whether you can go out or not. So in my situation, I looked on the map today. Even though we had cases in number 65, we are still listed as a green area as well, which is 防范区, but still no sign of going out. So I think hold your horses. Don't. If I were to say, this isn't the official word, this is just my opinion, I would completely ignore this 3-level system. It doesn't seem to hold much meaning at the moment. That's just my opinion. What do you think, Alex?
I mean, look, I'm still in a red area, so it doesn't make a difference to me personally. But regardless of that, it's not about me. It's what I'm saying is that, yeah. Well, I mean, there are no fully open areas. There's no place where you can just go wherever you want to. And different sub-districts and different neighborhood committees are enforcing or sort of regulating people's movement in different ways. Some of them will issue. Pass. One person in the household can go outside for X number of hours each day between A time and B time. You know, it's being enforced differently,
right?
In different places. And so I think I agree with you, Andy, that I don't put a whole lot of stock into it at this point. It's been sort of not uniformly enforced or administered to this point. Maybe that'll change. Hopefully it does. But yeah, I just I don't really anticipate it turning into sort of, you know what I mean. I'm not really sure what it means. And it means different things for different areas.
Exactly. Now, Kim has just added on, they say, do we need to wait for all the lockdown and controlled areas to turn precautionary? Then we'll be released again. Really sorry, Kim, but we have no idea. And that's the $1 million question. There's no official word on how strict these, or how much people will stick to this level, red, orange, green, because as we said before, there's no uniform kind of system in place. It is always just up to the 居委会 or the 街道. And most of them, despite me seeing in Shanghai Daily this morning that only a minority of Shanghai's residents are still in the red or orange areas, and the majority are in green areas now, still no one's allowed out freely. So I would just hold your horses, maybe wait a little bit, keep visiting shine.cn, keep watching our live stream. We'll let you know as soon as possible.
Andy, have you checked Baidu Maps lately? I don't know which map app you use normally on your phone. Obviously, we haven't had a whole lot of reason to use it over the past month and a half. But normally when I'm navigating around the city or trying to figure out where I'm going to go, where my destination is, if I don't know, I'll use Baidu Maps, which is my sort of go-to map app. Have you checked it out lately?
Yeah, and I'll show you. This is kind of showing people my... I use 搞得地图.
搞得, yeah. Okay.
You can't see very well, but basically it says that my compound is green, 防范区, which would mean that we're allowed out. And actually on the map here, it says 出入需要核酸. So if you want to go in or out, you just need a PCR test result. But it's not the case at all. No one's allowed to leave. No one's allowed to come in. So again, it's just, this is the official word, but obviously it's different in every different place. So Kim, sorry, we don't have a more definite answer for you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just been, we're not really sure. We've heard different stories and different reports from it being administered and enforced differently in different districts, sub-districts, compounds, et cetera, et cetera. So I think at this point, we just have to sort of wait and see for each of our individual situations as far as how it's going to go.
Yeah, for sure. I did want to bring up something else that's not official, Alex, and I think I'm going to ask Yang Jian, but I don't know if you've noticed some videos going around online, reports going around online of people reporting that some places in Shanghai, the whole compound or a whole floor will be removed and taken to central quarantine if one person is found to be positive, which seems to be a real step up in the policy. Obviously, we have no official word yet, but I mean, I've seen the videos. I can't verify it. Have you heard anything about that?
I've heard the same that you have. I don't really know if it's true or not. You know, I've seen, even during this entire thing, I've seen even documents that ostensibly look like they're issued by the government that turn out to be fabricated. I've heard, obviously there are, that's really, it's sort of a dangerous thing, right? And then obviously, we've seen videos of different things. Some of them were true, some of them were not. I at this point, when it comes to different policies, because I've heard rumors of one policy or another that would be enforced, and then it wasn't, and then maybe it was later or whatever. And so I'm just going to wait for the official word on anything like that. What I would say is, yeah, just make sure everyone to be prepared both mentally and also in terms of actual physical preparation for stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's very important in case it does turn out to be true. And we have seen videos. We can't deny it at this point. So basically, like you said, Alex, I think it would be great for people to be prepared. It's not just enough, if it turns out to be true, to stay home and protect yourself. If somebody turns positive in your whole building, you may find yourself having to relocate, which is quite scary, I'll be honest. But like you said, Alex, a lot of stuff can be not quite accurate. You may have seen this video that went viral online, which was barbed wire up staircases, which looks terrifying, and people were saying this was in Shanghai, but actually that video was found to have been filmed in Malaysia, so nowhere near China. So again, take it with a pinch of salt, but until we get official word. But yeah, what I'll do now is I'll bring in Yang Jian, because he is the guy to speak to. Yang Jian, can you hear me?
Hi. Yeah.
So, like I was just saying with Alex, probably the biggest question on people's lips today is if it's true or not that people may be taken away if there's a positive case in their building or on their floor. Now, I watch the media briefing every morning, and I didn't see anything mentioned, but I wondered if you've maybe heard anything or heard anything official, or can sort of fill us in on what may be happening here.
Okay, like you said, there are so far no official announcement from any city level authority or from the daily press meeting. But we can feel the COVID prevention standard has been stepped up at many local communities, especially those in the lockdown and the control areas. And since the city has launched its so-called decisive campaign against the coronavirus, and officials have also been reiterating to transfer everyone who should be put under central quarantine. And what we know is, according to the official criteria, a close contact means people who have unprotected close contact with confirmed or suspected cases. And they mainly include those who are living in the same apartment, such as their family members. And others are often determined by the epidemiological staff by telephone interview or checking the surveillance videos. And they will be centrally quarantined for 2 weeks with multiple PCR testing and another week of home quarantine, and health observation will be conducted. And so the key point of this issue is whether neighbors in the same apartment building can be defined as close contacts now. And I checked it with several downtown sub-districts today, and found that they have actually different criteria depending on the COVID situation there and the condition of the residential buildings. But so far, I have found no sub-district to define a whole building of residents as close contacts, according to my research. And they all said the measure is for the benefit of other residents in the same building and help to wipe out the virus sooner. For instance, one sub-district in Hong Kong said if a resident tests positive, the neighbors living on the same floor might be defined as close contacts, and they will be transferred to the quarantine hotel for further tests. And another sub-district said residents in the 4 neighboring apartments around the positive case, including those living beside, upstairs and downstairs, are defined as close contacts. And I noticed there was some heated discussion on this issue since last night after netizens, like you said, posted some videos of being transferred as close contacts. And despite there is no official reply on the press meeting this morning, the city's health commission said the city must stick to scientific epidemiological survey, and such as defining the close contacts and the control measures, and never make any simplified sweeping approaches. And just now, Shanghai's party secretary, the top official said, we must act scientifically and carefully when define the coverage of close contacts and secondary contacts and explain the COVID prevention rules to citizens clearly, and which I think partly reply the concerns of the citizens. And there are also some saying that a lot of communities are enforcing the 3-day bans on delivery of online shopping and group shopping, and also no city level announcement on this, and which is also largely depend on the sub-district or neighborhood committee based on their COVID situation. But officials do once warned that parcels can be contaminated by Omicron, and they've asked citizens for many times to carefully disinfect the online orders and the group buying stuff. Andy.
Okay. A lot of information there. It's good information. We'll see how it progresses. I did want to ask you about the different variants. We talked about Omicron, but there are even different subvariants of Omicron. And so there's been some news recently about the variant that's been the driver of this outbreak in Shanghai. What sort of information do we have about that?
Yes, because the WHO said the new subvariants of COVID-19, apart from these BA2 mutations such as BA4 and BA5, which are more transmittable and have been found in somewhere, maybe South Africa. And the city's health commission officials said Shanghai has been doing its genetic sequencing of locally transmitted infections and have found no new, more transmissible coronavirus subvariants so far. And the dominant subvariants of the city's resurgence remains the Omicron BA2 and the BA2.2, which the city's disease control officials said are highly contagious, while hidden and spread fast. And despite no stronger virus has been found, the health commission official also said the city is still fighting arduously with the Omicron BA2 and the 2.2, and it is still the key stage of COVID prevention. And even if the pandemic is trending towards a positive way, he said any slacking off will make the previous efforts in vain. So the authority just announced that we will continue our PCR testing, and citizens in the locked down areas will receive PCR tests every day. And the key groups, including the delivery staff, volunteers, and the employees maintaining the urban operation, also must receive a daily PCR and 2 antigen tests with an interval of 8 hours every day. And previously the delivery staff are required to receive a PCR test every 2 days. So the measures have also been stepped up. And he also said a massive screening will be launched on the key areas, and where most recent resurgence were found, including companies, construction sites, shops, street shops, and office buildings, and among other migrant groups. So, anyone who do not fail to take the PCR test will find their health code become yellow, and banning them from entering any public areas. So we can feel the prevention measures do have been beefed up a bit because of this very complicated pandemic situation, Alex.
Yang Jian, thank you so much. You've been a great help, especially with all your research that I'm asking you all day. So yeah, we'll see you again same time tomorrow.
Okay, see you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so I think basically what Yang Jian is saying there's a lot of reading between the lines actually when it comes to the official stance on certain things. So he said one of the top epidemiologists and also one of the top members of the government joined the press conference and stated that we should stick very firmly to a scientific method of deciding who are media, who are close contacts, because he said taking away whole buildings or whole floors really depends on whether or not you can deem the neighbors to be close contacts. And so somebody coming out in the government at the press conference saying, we need to really stick to scientific measures, to me, if I read into it a little bit, would look to be a bit of a reprimand on those people who are deciding to take away whole floors. So
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing. I'm not sure what you think, Alex.
Well, I hope that you've interpreted that correctly. That would be a positive. I think obviously I'm not a scientist or a virologist or an epidemiologist, but from what has made a person a close contact, what has determined whether or not someone is a close contact so far would not include someone just because they live across the hall from you, unless you had close contact with that person. Obviously, I mentioned on the stream last week that 2 of my neighbors on my very same floor tested positive last week. That would mean that I would be in a quarantine hotel right now if this were the case. That obviously wasn't the case 7 days ago. Hopefully it's not the case. I'm very frank in the future, because I think that's going to lead to a lot of negative people who haven't actually made contact with positive people being removed from their houses. And I know that won't make people happy. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I do know this, though, that a lot of residences are older buildings and lane houses. We see a lot of the spread happening in places like downtown Huangpu district, because that is the area that has the most older buildings and lane houses with shared communal areas, and also just not as good, just the ventilation and things like that. And so I think maybe it's more likely that would happen if you live in one of those kind of buildings versus, the kind of building that I live in that is newer and sort of, the typical high-rise sort of building. So I suspect that might play into it as well.
Yeah, I get the feeling that may be the case. Maybe they feel, like you said, the ventilation or the sewage may pose a problem in those really closely knit old buildings. But as Yang Jian said, a lot of it is being left up to the sub-districts or the Juwehui, the community. So yeah, I guess they would take into account those kind of situations. But another thing that Yang Jian mentioned that I found quite interesting is that there really is a sense that the anti-COVID measures have ramped up over the last couple of days. We have this, obviously, he can't say whether or not people will be taken away in the same building as close contacts, but he did mention also that people have been worried about a stop on deliveries. They're calling it 静默, 3-day silence. I'm not sure why they call it that, but a 3-day stop on deliveries in a lot of districts in Shanghai, which is also worrying a lot of people. Obviously, we haven't been able to go out for 38 days in our case to buy deliveries. We've been relying on deliveries coming from the outside. Obviously, the government is seeing that as a kind of weak link. So a lot of places are seeing, as I said, these deliveries being stopped for 2 or 3 days, which is another scary thing. I don't know if you've heard about that, Alex.
I've heard about it. I haven't heard from anybody who's experiencing that. We've gotten deliveries as recently as just an hour ago, and so we aren't in that situation. And that we've been able to get deliveries not just for group buys, but I've also had some orders from Jingdong that were actually have come in from outside of Shanghai, from warehouses in places.
Oh wow!
Okay, yeah, I've gotten stuff from Kunshan already, which is cool. But at the same time, we have heard a lot of I don't want to call them reports, but just sort of, I also hesitate to call them rumors, just accounts that maybe there will be a 3-day stoppage of deliveries. And we, like I said, we can't confirm that yet. We will update our viewers. We'll update everyone on more information when it comes in and when we get it, with as much information as we can possibly give in terms of what places are doing it, what it actually means, and things like that. I think the best advice I could give to our listeners, our viewers at this point, is just to be prepared. There is a discussion, at least happening in some circles, about there being a 3-day stoppage of deliveries of any kind. So what I would say is just make sure, I know that people have been doing this for a long time, but just make sure to get your orders in now, and hopefully you can be stocked up on all the stuff you need just in case this does happen in your community.
Yeah, we got another delivery today of stuff from the government. But there has been rumors in our compound that we're heading towards one of these silences, one of these stops of deliveries, which is people thought that our delivery today was kind of a sign that we are going to be not really receiving deliveries for 3 days. But I know, Alex, before you said we've heard people have had this account. I actually do have friends who have received a notice saying that delivery will stop for 2 or 3 days. So obviously we don't have an official word. When I say there's no official word, I mean from Shanghai's main government, but it appears to be the case that it is at least happening in some sub-districts. So like Alex said, I think it is really important to make sure you have enough staff. Maybe you could ask your Jiwei Hui what the situation is in your area. And as Andrea said here, yeah, my assistant called it a silence. Now, I'm not sure where the Chinese comes from for that, but that is what they're calling it, a silence on delivery. So yeah, keep up with
a hiatus. I think silence is a bit of a drama-filled term. You know, sometimes we like our drama-filled terms, right?
People love drama everywhere.
Yeah, and so I you know, whatever. I wouldn't translate it as silence. I think it's more of, let's just call it a 3-day hiatus in terms of deliveries. And yeah, it seems like that may be happening. So I haven't gotten any specific information about my particular community, but I'll have my eyes and ears open for it. Again, as Andy mentioned, we haven't gotten any official word from the city about it yet. When we do, we will relay that to you. But as for now, I would just say make sure to try and be prepared for that. Get your orders in now, and maybe order a little bit of extra. And that way, if it doesn't happen in your community, it won't impact you too much.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's move along now. We are going to have a new guest on the show very shortly, and that is a teacher. Well, actually, she's the head, international deputy head and art teacher at Nord Anglia Chinese International School. Her name is Joanna Hochter. And she actually, this is quite a touching story. She showed her students, her art students, a video we played right at the start of the lockdown of delivery drivers who were having a tough time, having to, finding it hard to find food and having to sleep outside. And the students were quite touched by that video by our colleagues, Jack and Gao Lao Shi, that they actually created some lovely artworks to say thank you to those delivery drivers and also medical staff. So what I'll do is first I'll play a short video that we've put together, and then when we get back, we'll have a chat with Joanna. So let's have a look.
All right.
7点钟都跑到夜里12点1、2点的嘛，一天也挣个500-600块钱。像有的单子我要送个好几次，我在这里碰到这个给你送过去，我又往那个方向走又碰到那个，好我再给你送过来。昨天一天没吃饭，最后给朋友要了一包方便面，干啃了一下，又桥洞，就路边这个挡风能挡雨的，我都1个多礼拜了。昨晚就是路边。
Obviously, a really touching video there with that delivery guy, and also these artworks that we've been sent in from Joanna are just really awesome. Alex, what do you reckon?
Yeah, it's cool to see that. Obviously, you know, this situation, the lockdown and everything has inspired a lot of people to do some interesting things. Obviously, the guy that we talked to yesterday writing his song is a good example of that. And then obviously this as well.
Yeah, really nice. Hey, let's bring in Joanna Hochter. Joanna, can you hear us?
Hi, I can. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah, very good. Hey, so nice to have you on the show. Thank you so much for sending us this artwork. It's really, really touching. But first, I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how long you've been in Shanghai, and what you do here.
Yeah, sure. So I'm the International Deputy Head of Secondary at Nord Anglia Chinese International School. My husband and I moved to Shanghai in 2013 with our daughter. We're originally from Ireland, and at that time, Ireland was still suffering the consequences of the economic downturn. So we were finding it really difficult to get jobs in teaching. So we decided that we would look internationally, and a great opportunity came up for my husband for a school in Shanghai. So we decided now or never, and we made the move. So we've been here ever since. And both of us have been working in bilingual education here for the past 9 years. So we've got 3 children in total, actually. We came with my daughter, but we've had 2 boys since then. Layla goes to the British International School here. She's 16. And then we have Hugo, 4, and our youngest is 15 months, Louis. So we're quite settled.
Yes, sure. So we did just see the video. Obviously, you showed a video that we at Shanghai Daily made about delivery drivers having it really rough during the lockdown. And your students made some artwork to express their gratitude, which we just saw. Can you just share a little bit more about that project with us?
Yeah, sure. So at NACES, we believe in providing students with a holistic education that not only makes them academically competitive, but also teaches them to look at the world around them through different lenses. It's one thing to be book smart, but in this day and age, you need to have the ability to think critically and to look at things from a variety of different perspectives. So lockdown is a perfect opportunity to teach students about empathy, compassion, and to celebrate and appreciate all that is good about humanity. The project was initially inspired by an article, actually, that the head of secondary, Mr. Kevin Dumble, shared with me. And it was titled Lockdown Getting You Down. It was by Lifeline Connect. The article was basically a list of things you can do to maintain a positive mindset throughout lockdown. And there was a section in the article, when consuming news, look for the helpers. I can read you a short excerpt from it if you like.
Sure, sounds good.
Yeah, so I have it open here in front of me. It just said it's important to be mindful of the fact that the most shocking stories tend to be the ones to go viral. Make a point to remind yourself that the world isn't black or white, good or bad. For every dire situation, there are plenty of people solving problems, pooling resources, and helping each other out. And then there was a quote by Fred Rogers. And it said, when I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. And that just really kind of stuck in my mind. And then when I saw the interview with the delivery driver, I thought the two just went hand in hand really well. And what a great opportunity to do a project with my grade 6s. To encourage them to look at things from a different perspective and kind of think about people who are potentially worse off than them throughout the lockdown. So yeah, I set the project on the 18th of April. I gave them a week to produce the artwork, and I think they did really well. Yeah, they come up with some really thought-provoking stuff, which was good.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the artworks definitely look amazing, and I really like your idea to look at the world from a different angle. The news can be quite shocking, but these guys are definitely in the background, keeping the city going. Hey, so I was wondering, have you or your students, maybe like all of us, most of us, had things delivered during the lockdown, and what did they imagine perhaps before this video that the lives of these delivery people might be like during this tough time?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't think they've ever really thought about what the lives of the delivery drivers are like. I mean, you know yourself, living in Shanghai, everything is at your fingertips and everything is so fast paced. You don't really stop to think actually the process in which it went through to get to your front door. Yeah, so doing this project certainly opened up a different perspective for them. I haven't personally had any deliveries brought to me, simply because I'm relying solely on my IE to do everything for us at the moment. She's been flat out on the community groups, and she's been doing a fantastic job ordering everything. But we haven't had much contact with the delivery drivers. If anything is delivered, it's brought to the front gate, and then somebody brings it to our building. So we actually haven't come into contact with any of them. And I think that would be the same for my students. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. It's just that we know that the delivery men are really having a hard time, as we saw in the video. So my question about the students is, when they first saw the video of how sort of difficult of a time a lot of these delivery men are having, what was their reaction, and did they have any questions?
Yeah, I think it took them a while to digest it. I don't think they had really thought about what the lives of the delivery drivers would be like. So they didn't have that many questions, more so kind of comments like, you know, I mean, there were some good comments and some bad comments, to be honest with you. I mean, the good comments were that, you know, they felt empathetic towards the drivers for having to sleep under the like he said, sleeping under a bridge or not having eaten for a really long time. But one student said to me, but my mom told me that the delivery drivers have hiked up their prices and they're charging a lot of money to deliver things. And, you know, when they say things like that, that's also a fantastic opportunity to open up another discussion and say to them, well, yeah, sometimes people do take advantage of challenging times, but that's only a small percentage of people to do that. And you've got to look at it from a different, you know, from a broader perspective, I'd say. So certainly the video gave us ample discussion points. And we talked a lot about different things that, you know, it linked up with lots of different discussions we may never have had before from viewing this, which was great.
Yeah, I think it's what you just said I think is important. It's another opportunity to fight the they all do this or they're all like this sort of mindset that some people have. It's always toxic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, stereotypes, that's for sure. Hey, so as we can see on the screen, you guys and your students really expressed their gratitude through their artwork. But I wondered if there were any other ideas of how they might express their gratitude to delivery guys.
Yeah, I mean, some of them did. They asked me, you know, could they possibly, when they get their deliveries, could they half their delivery and give some to the delivery drivers? But then again, you've got that the challenge of not actually coming into contact with the delivery drivers at the moment. So it's not
right.
Actually, yeah, it's probably not doable. Yeah, I mean, I think they were quite satisfied to just create the artwork in the hope that, because I did say to them, look, I'll share your work with the people that aired that interview. So maybe the delivery drivers will actually be able to see your work. And they were really happy about that, because then they knew that the messages that they created were meaningful, that they were actually going to reach the people that really needed to see them. So
yeah, definitely. So you said you gave them about a week's time to do it. Did they all finish it in time? And did any particular projects or works stand out?
Most of them did finish it on time. Yeah, I mean, it was their homework, so if they didn't do it, then
that's a problem.
Yeah, no, I think Jupiter's work stuck out to me. He did the piece where he drew a delivery driver under the bridge, and then he said that you can see the city, and then he said you light up the city or something like that on the top. You showed it there a few seconds ago. So I thought that was really nice, because he obviously really grasped the story and that particular man's story. And that one. Yes, I did correct him on his grammar after that. It should be light city. Thank you. But yeah, it was nice that he actually really paid attention, and he wasn't just creating work for the sake of work. That you know, he really thought about it and tried to depict the hardship that the delivery driver was going through by showing him under the bridge. And he did say to me afterwards, actually, because I picked his out to speak. We had a.
It's really nice to see light up the whole city, and I was wondering. Oh, connection problem. I was wondering if the kids had anything else they wanted perhaps to say to the delivery guys.
Oh, sorry.
Can you hear us, Joanna?
Second. So can you repeat the last question? Sorry.
So I was just saying, I saw the message, you light up the whole sky, which was a really nice message. I was wondering if any of the children had anything else they wanted to perhaps say to the delivery guys.
They just wanted to say thank you, and they just wanted to, I think, you know, say that they realize how hard the delivery drivers are working, and that what they're doing is selfless, and that although it's exhausting, that the people of Shanghai appreciate them for what they're doing, and that, you know, Shanghai wouldn't be able to survive at the moment. The people wouldn't be able to survive if we didn't have delivery drivers delivering food.
Definitely. I agree. I'm not sure if we're having an internet issue, if it's mine, Andy's, or whose it is, but thank you very much.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it. And I think it's a really awesome idea and a really cool project. And yeah, we're happy to have you on the show. Thanks so much. And yeah,
Okay.
take care.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So yeah, I'm not sure if we've lost Andy for the time being, but as we can take some more time to have a look at these projects that the kids did, I really think it's really an interesting thing to do. You know, what I was thinking about is, and Joanna mentioned this, is sort of the inner workings of everything that it takes to make a city, especially one as gigantic as Shanghai is.
Alex, can you hear me?
I can. I got you back. We said goodbye to Joanna. Can you hear me, Andy?
Are you there? Oh, are you there? Alex, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Sorry, you guys. The internet is absolutely shocking here. Let me just bring you back in.
No, I said goodbye to Joanna and thanked her. And yeah, and I was just sort of talking about how it's interesting. You know, you think about the inner workings of all the systems. We had asked her, you know, for what sort of questions her kids had and if they had thought about it. And particularly when you're a kid, you know, a middle school aged kid, or sixth grade, I guess here is primary school, but whatever it is. For me, that was middle school. But in any case, kids of that age might not really take a lot of time to think about the way that things work. They just know that things work. This gets sent here, this works, the subway runs, the deliveries come, the bank is open, everything, just stuff like that. And really thinking about all the different systems and people and everything that are required to keep a city like this running, and really the way that a strict lockdown like this can really throw a wrench into everything. So, yeah,
definitely important lessons. Hey, I was going to read some comments to Joanna. Unfortunately, the internet bunged out, but Stephen Riley said, "Well done to Joanna and her students, teaching and learning good life lessons," which I think is really true. And Kevin said, "Some awesome artwork, very inspirational." Somebody said, "Travel with Jean in China," said, "Posting the art at building entrances is a great idea for these people to see the work." So yeah, that could also be a really good idea. But if you want to see more of this artwork, you can look for an upcoming article on shine.cn and in Shanghai Daily. I was going to say grab a copy of Shanghai Daily, but that's probably a bit hard right now. But we will feature Joanna and her students' artworks in the future very soon. So yeah, sorry that Joanna got cut off. Thank you, Joanna, so much for coming on the show.
Absolutely. It was a good chat, and we really appreciated her point of view on the situation. And it's a cool idea by her as well to get her students' creative minds working.
Yeah, very awesome. Hey, that's all we have time for this evening, you guys. But I will leave you with this awesome view of Shanghai's Lujiazui, the downtown area. Very beautiful night there with a live shot, thanks to our friends over at Kankan Xinwen. Alex, do you have anything else you want to add? Any tips for
Go ahead. No, just make sure to keep. Yeah, there's our Luro fan. Make sure to keep yourself busy and occupied. Don't let yourself become too idle during this time. Although, don't be too hard on yourself. You don't have to make every single hour, every minute of every day productive. I know none of us are machines, and this is tough for all of us. But just make sure to try and keep your mind and your body active, and so that you don't sort of slip into a mental spiral, as I've been trying to keep myself out of as well. So good luck to everybody. We'll keep our eyes focused on the situation at hand, let you know if there are any updates as far as the delivery situation or the close contacts or whatever other pressing issues that there are. And we'll see you again tomorrow evening.
Yeah, we'll see you guys then. Thank you so much. 7:30 Beijing time. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.